welcome to Rotten Taste, where we take a look at movies under 50% on Rotten Tomatoes and tell you what you think. And today, we are looking at the 1995 film Empire Records, starring Renee Zellweger and Liv Tyler. This movie only
Hmm.
has a 31% on Rotten Tomatoes. Um,
That's wild.
it's been a long time since I saw this, Soto. This came out when I was 17, and for me,
Hmm.
that's the age group. The high school, college, early college age of all these kids in this movie. So this is
Hmm.
right for me. This is like the perfect time, stuff like that. When we discussed this, I was honestly a little surprised that this was that low. From what I could
Yeah, I
remember,
was
because I remember
too.
loving this. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this has a great cast. I remember, the music and stuff like that. And watching it back, it's still a fucking good movie. I think it falls into the same tropes as a lot of '90s films of that time. But overall, I'm like, this is a good film. And I think personally, the reason why I love this is, I was 17 when this came out. I
Hmm.
don't know if I saw this in theaters, so 17, 18. These are the films that always kind of get me personally. I kind of tend to love the ones about for lack of better terms, the loser kids, the ones that don't feel like they have a place,
Hmm.
and just the coming of age. And that's why Breakfast Club is one of my favorite '80s films. It's kind of got the same
Oh,
feel. A
oh my
bunch of,
God, so
you know,
good.
it is, and that's where this is. A bunch of these random people who don't usually might not mix well together, but because of their one love of music.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I think that I really didn't. I was kind of like whatever about it, back then. I kind of had, just much more stronger opinions about things. And then I had a roommate in college who kind of reintroduced me to this movie, and then it kind of became like something that we would quote, like walking around the house or anything like that. In particular, one of the lines in here, I think AJ says it, where he's like, I don't have to defend my art to you, Warren. Like when he's like talking about the quarters glued on the floor. We used to say that to each other all the time. Like it's like I don't feel like I should have to defend my or explain my art to you. Um, so it's a very like quotable movie, and so it kind of became, despite like its ton of flaws, which it definitely has, because it is a pretty dumb movie. It ended up becoming, a cult hit, like favorite of mine, and even rewatching it, um, yeah, I recognize that it has some dumb moments that I'm sure we'll talk about, but it is entertaining and funny throughout the whole entire thing. And there are great characters. There are some really kind of like annoying like parts of it, but overall, rewatching it, I liked it just as much as I liked it like, 10, 15 years ago. Like this movie, it's not perfect by any means, but man, I was so fucking surprised to find out it was only 31% because it's like that's being way too harsh on a movie that's not really trying to be that serious.
Agreed. Basically the premise, it starts off, Lucas, who's,
Hmm.
closing, the first day, or he notices that they are going to go corporate. And, we've kind of been in that, franchise going to corporate kind of, thing. And he's
So wait,
trying
wait,
to,
quick question. I don't mean
yeah,
to
yeah.
interrupt you, but like Lucas gets promoted and he's going to be the closing manager, right? He's finally closing his first shift. Does that mean that Joe has been closing every single night, like 7 days a week?
No, because AJ's been closing too. Because remember, he asked AJ, "Hey, can you? I need a closer tonight. Can you do it?" So AJ
Oh,
already.
okay.
So
So
there was
AJ was
that.
opening and closing. Okay.
Yeah, it's retail, man. But yeah, and Lucas in his crazy mind does not want to
Hmm.
go, have the store sold to, Music Town and whatnot. And yeah,
Music
so he
land
takes
or
the
whatever, yeah.
$9,000 deposit, goes to Atlantic
Hmm.
City,
Yep.
and basically, wins the first crapshoot, and then the second one loses everything. And then it dawned on me. I always thought all these kids were in high school, like that high school era, because Liv Tyler's trying to go to college. But I'm like, how old are these kids? Because I'm like,
Oh,
technically,
yeah.
Lucas is 21. Obviously, if he's gambling in Atlantic City, we know
Sure.
he's got to be at
Yes.
least 21. There ain't no way
Hmm.
he's getting in.
He's a
But
manager. Yeah, it makes sense.
yeah, so and AJ, he's talking to Liv Tyler. They're talking about college.
Yeah.
So I put them in the high school, but he's living on his own because that's why he takes the night shift. He's like, yeah, my landlord raised my rent. So I'm like, well, then how old is AJ? I'm like, well, if Liv Tyler's still in high school and so I was confused
Yeah.
about where the age group was because, at first, and it's been a while, I'm like, oh yeah, these are all high school kids. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no. So, and I think that's just one of the ones that they just gloss over. They're like, no one's really going to care, but I know we do. But,
Hmm. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Wow. But I guess like any job that we've worked retail, right? Like people are like 18 to like 30.
yeah, this whole film basically takes place in one day. A lot seems to
Oh
happen
my
on
God.
one
A
day.
long day. Yeah.
Rex Manning Day, out of all days. Um,
Yes.
I forgot the kind of music listening that was in this. Now, obviously, again, 90s. I was in high school then, and I'm just watching, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot like Guar was in this. I'm like, Jesus Christ, fucking
Yeah.
Guar. And I think that's why I loved it because they had so many different styles, and
Hmm.
that's the way it should be. And I know we could probably get lost a lot in this music, so I got to bring us back to the movies. But some of these scenes, though, so let's start. Let's just start now. What we're really picking apart the scenes. This whole thing takes
Yeah.
place on Rex Manning Day. This guy, who 40, 50-year-old singer who our parents would have loved, is coming to basically sign records and stuff like that. And one of the main stories is Liv Tyler wants to give herself for her first time to Rex Manning. Um, and this
Yes. A
thing,
Harvard student wants
a
to do
Harvard
this.
student, and
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just at first I kind of got it because teenage girls, but then it just got a little creepy. I don't know.
Yeah, it got very weird. I think that to your point and big picture overall in this movie is all the weird shit that like kind of happens that like would never be okay now. Especially in the workplace. Were you
Mm.
horrified by any of this at all? Because man, oh man, the question I kept asking is who is even working at this store currently right now? Like who's on the floor? So yes, you have the people and you have the whole Rex Manning thing where, obviously Renee Zellweger's character and Liv Tyler are dealing with that situation, but the whole movie I kept being like, who is working on the floor right now? Except for Weird Mark.
Mark with a K, who does call for help, when needed. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, a lot of shenanigans, a lot of things that would get normal people fired. I did question like one scene where they're playing a song, and weirdly enough, AJ is dancing with Deborah Robin Tunney,
Yes.
a very
The dark
underrated
one.
actress. Yeah, um,
Hmm.
but yeah, then all of a sudden she takes off his shirt and just like in the middle of the floor with all these customers,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
so I'm like that was weird because I'm
What
like, well,
the fuck?
he's trying to confess his love to Liv Tyler. That's his whole thing. Like
Yes.
by 1:37
Corey, by
p.m.
the
I am
way.
gonna, yeah, I love this girl. How there she goes. But then I'm like, it just takes off his shirt, like in this weird sexual dance. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, this seems pretty odd. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, no, I think all these kids kind of work there, but then they don't work there, and I don't know. And I thought about that $9,000 deposit on a weekday. I'm like, that's a lot of money for like a fucking record store in the '90s. In
For a
the
record
'80s,
store in the mid 90s, yeah, that's a lot because I'm like, wow, we make that, selling what we sell. But yeah, no, it's just Joe is the only adult in the room, and he is running quite a store where literally anything happens all the time. Like they all get there early, they make coffee, they play music as they're dusting and cleaning the store before it opens. I've never even seen that in retail.
no, that's
Um,
I
it's
caught
just like
that
this
too.
romanticized Fantasyland record store where it's like, wouldn't it be so great to work here? But then you just look at it, from the eyes of somebody who's like managed stores, it's horrifying in an objective like way. You're just like, oh my god, like why? Like at one point they all leave the sales floor, um, to do Robin Tunney's like
Fake
fucking
funeral.
funeral. And I literally was counting like 6 or 7 employees in the back doing nothing.
No, but Mark had the floor. That's when he went on the phone. He's like, help, help. Which then he
Did
joined the
anybody come
funeral.
help?
Yeah,
Did he join
someone.
the funeral? That's right.
That's yeah, someone I forget who, but someone you see in the back corner kind of leaves, but then he's there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
It's
Um,
secondary. The store is secondary to the plot. Like, its store is just, it's there so that the plot can happen. And like all their dramas, like randomly, like Liv Tyler's character Corey goes through this like weird Jesse Spano like caffeine pill thing. Uh, that's really strangely addressed through the whole Rex Manning thing. It's just, yeah, the drama and the crazy stuff. I find myself laughing at it. So, as opposed to being like, oh my God, this is so over the top and melodramatic, I just think it's hilarious because teenagers as a whole are hilarious to me, especially when they're arguing with each other about nonsense. It's just really, really funny. Like, I love teen angst. So that part didn't bother me at all. Like, and even how everything gets wrapped up at the end so neatly, like literally everything gets wrapped up so freaking neatly, like that there's no loose ends whatsoever. Joe ends up getting the store because the owner like just has kind of like 20 minutes of like having a deal with being on the register, I think is what I got.
yeah,
And then he's like, I'll sell it to you for cheap. Don't even worry about it. This is one of the better under 50% movies we've seen on this podcast. So at least in my opinion.
no, agreed. And yeah, another random scene, kind of introducing a new character, aka Warren Beatty, the
Oh yeah.
shoplifter scene.
Yeah.
It's I always just laugh at that because here, obviously, some kids do shoplift, and maybe that was a little over top to chasing him down. Hilarious, he runs back in, but then he's in the
Yeah.
back room, and then he returns with the gun out with blanks,
Hmm.
and at the end he gets a job. I mean, so I'm like,
Yep.
this guy came and threatened. He's like threatened the
He
store with the
becomes part of the crew. Like he shows no skills other than theft and crime.
The
And
cops
they're
took him
like,
away twice in the same day. Remember,
yeah,
this is the same, and then he
same
comes
day.
back and he's like, "I work here."
And they're like, cool, you do, but we all quit. I was like, what? And then they're like, "But just kidding, we bought the store.
Yeah, I think they just threw a lot of scenes together, made it work. We all just laughed at it, the silliness of it. They're all dancing on top of the roof while they're doing trying to benefit to get the $9,000 because Lucas stole it, or lost it. I shouldn't say stole it, stole and lost it. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
they just had a party.
yeah, they had a party, but they got the money. I mean, they just
Somehow.
probably just selling
Yeah,
all the
like they.
CDs and records for cheap. I don't know.
And also, they were selling alcohol like with no license to sell alcohol.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. I
They're
forgot
just
about
giving it
that.
out in the street. Like if people were like, "Oh, cool, this is cool."
Yeah, exactly. And especially since the employees aren't even 21, or some of them are. I don't know.
So many weird parts of this movie, man.
Yeah. Yeah, Liv Tyler getting angry, after the Rex Manning sleeps with her friend. Like she tears apart that store. She's
Ah,
yelling and this and that, and that's when we find out
so
about the Kevin.
dramatic.
But
So dramatic, and then oh god.
high schoolers, at that time, I
Yeah,
mean, we
yeah.
look at it now, it's a lot of them are dramatic. I mean, yes, that was a little over dramatic, but still, I mean, she wanted to bring Rex Manning his lunch, and she demanded that too. So, but it's hard because, like I said, despite all the flaws, I love this. It's fun.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
mean, like I said, the music's great. The as bad as the script was, if that, all the actors and actresses were great. They did what they could with the roles. I mean, they're all just. I love them all. It's just, I don't know. I think that's why it works. I think it's just they made this work somehow. I don't think this movie should have worked, but it does. But
It works, man. It works with just not taking itself, for the most part, for 80% of the movie, not taking itself too seriously.
I have one more scene I got to talk about though. And I was going
Absolutely.
to wrap this up, but it just dawned on me since Ethan Embry, Mark with the K, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
when he's cleaning and he sees that girl listening to music, and
Oh
he's
my
trying to
God!
give her, I'm like, you know what I'm talking about?
Of course I do.
And then he's just there. He's about, he's trying to give her a kiss or first dance, with her. And then he's trying to, I'm like, this is big time, like customer harassment. I'm like, oh my God. And then he,
Yeah.
he has her foot and he's just like, using the, whatever, the dust buster thing or I'm just like, oh my God.
And he
Like,
kisses her foot, I think, too, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he has it. He's just smiling. He's like, "Oh, I'm just Mark. I'm just so silly." And
He
she's
is
just,
so weird in this movie, man. He is so weird in this movie. Like I don't know what he's on. I guess he's high all the time, but man, he's so weird.
yeah. I mean, they all are weird. They all are in
Yeah.
their own right, and I think that's
Hmm.
just why I love this. Because for me being a kid,
Yeah,
I was weird. I mean, maybe not to the
me
extent of
too.
any of these characters. Do not get me wrong, but when you feel like an outcast, I'm like, yeah. But oh
Yeah.
my god.
Wow.
Anyhow, is there anything else you can remember that this movie you want to talk about before we stop this? Any?
No, I think we covered it all. Again, we've said it a few times already. Just unbelievable how low it's rated. But if you don't take it seriously, it's fun.
It is. It is definitely fun. So, but for those who saw Empire Records, let us know what you think, what you loved about it, what you
Hmm.
didn't like about it, and I just want to say, just remember, it doesn't matter who you are, what's going on. Be yourself and celebrate every day like it's fucking Rex Manning Day.
Rexy, you're so sexy.